on Duco Show. All right, so let's go to this New York Times story back in 2009. Here's what I want everybody to understand as I get ready to share this story with you, okay? You got Donald Trump originally saying that he's not getting a fair shake from this judge in the trial, and he thinks it might be because of this judge being Mexican, that his national heritage, his national origins, that may be affecting the decisions and rulings that he makes as a judge. Oh, such a racist. But I've heard Republicans say this is the definition of racism. Okay? Trump has backed off of that, and now he says, no, it's not about his Mexican heritage. It's about his associations and membership in Mexican identity, political groups, and whatever. Okay, all right. But let's just make sure that we're clear here. The suggestion, right now the conventional wisdom is the suggestion, and anyone that would dare suggest that a judge would have the way that they judge and rule possibly be affected by their national origins, that's the definition of racism, right? With that said, the New York Times on May 14th, 2009 ran a story about a judge. This judge was specifically saying that the judge's ethnicity and national origins may and will, not just may, but may and will make a difference in our judging and the way that we judge and the way that we rule. This is what a federal judge said. Now, my question is this. Was that federal judge racist? Did that federal judge that the New York Times reported on, was that federal judge making a racist statement? How dare some federal judge say that your national, as a matter of fact, let me give you some quotes here. The ethnicity and sex of a judge, quote, may and will make a difference in our judging. The judge went on to say, quote, whether born from experience or inherent physiological or cultural differences, our gender and national origins may and will make a difference in our judging, end quote. Now, is this judge right or is this judge wrong? Is this judge racist or not? Which one is it? By the way, if you're curious who the judge is, none other than Hispanic Judge Sonya Sotomayor, who now sits on the United States Supreme Court. That's right. This was in 2009 when Barack Obama was putting together his short list of people to name to the U.S. Supreme Court, and Sonya Sotomayor was one of the names being floated. I mean, this wasn't necessarily considered that controversial of a thing at the time, but here's an Hispanic judge, Sonya Sotomayor, and she flat out admitted our ethnicity will, in fact, not just may, but will, in fact, affect our rulings and decisions. Let me read to you directly from the New York Times, May 14th, 2009. Quote, in 2001, Sonya Sotomayor, an appeals court judge, gave a speech declaring that the ethnicity and sex of a judge, quote, may and will make a difference in our judging, end quote. In her speech, Judge Sotomayor questioned the famous notion often invoked by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her retired Supreme Court colleague Sandra Day O'Connor that a wise old man and a wise old woman would reach the same conclusion when deciding cases. Now let me stop right here for a second. What the New York Times is talking about is that's something Ruth Bader Ginsburg famously said one time, that a wise old man and a wise old woman, they're going to come up to the same conclusion when deciding cases. It doesn't matter whether you're a male judge or a female judge. Sonya Sotomayor was responding to that, basically saying Ruth Bader Ginsburg is wrong. I mean, here's a liberal who's saying another liberal is wrong. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in essence, said that's not true. If you're a woman versus a man, it is going to affect how you rule as a judge. And if you're, based on your ethnicity, that is going to affect how you rule as a judge. Here's what she said, Sonya Sotomayor, quote, I would hope that a wise Latina woman with the richness of her experiences would more often than not reach a better conclusion than a white male who hasn't lived that life. They went on to say, the New York Times, quote, in 2005, Sonya Sotomayor on video said, quote, a court of appeals is where policy is made. And I know that this is on tape, and I should never say that because we don't make law. I know, okay, I know. I'm not promoting it. I'm not advocating it. So Sonya Sotomayor was kind of caught also saying, yeah, we make policy from the bench, even though you're not allowed to make policy from the bench. That's the legislature's job, not the judicial. But the New York Times goes on. Sonya Sotomayor has given several speeches about the importance of diversity, but her 2001 remarks at Berkeley, which were published by the Berkeley La Raza Law Journal, La Raza, that's the same name of the group that the Judge Curiel belongs to, went further, asserting that judges' identities will affect legal outcomes. Sotomayor said, quote, whether born from experience or inherent physiological or cultural differences, our gender and national origins may and will make a difference in our judging. The New York Times went on. Her remarks came in the context of reflecting her own life experiences as a Hispanic female judge and on how the increasing diversity on the federal bench, her words, quote, will have an effect on the development of the law and on judging. So let's be clear about this, folks. Sonya Sotomayor on the United States Supreme Court is on record as saying, if you're an Hispanic judge, if your heritage is from Mexico, your national origins may and will have an effect on the way that you judge and on the way that you rule. That's what Sonya Sotomayor said. So if Sonya Sotomayor said it, and Donald Trump said it now in 2016, why is it automatically racist that Donald Trump said it, but it's not racist when Sonya Sotomayor said it? And Donald Trump didn't even say, because that judge is Mexican, he may and will have his rulings affected. He only said his rulings may be affected because he's Mexican. And then Trump even backed off of that and said, okay, it's not about him being Mexican. It's just the groups that he's part of. And everybody's going to scream from the left and from half of the right that Donald Trump is automatically a racist because that is clearly the definition of a racist statement. I want to know where ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, the New York Times, and the rest of them are regarding Sonya Sotomayor. So just something for you folks to consider that you're not going to hear in the rest of the mainstream press. All right, you're listening to The Bob Duco Show.